Welcome back to Nighttime History, dear travellers. Tonight we are stepping into the warm glow of an ancient Roman home as evening shadows grow long across cobblestone streets. We will explore something beautifully simple, yet deeply meaningful, the preparation of an everyday Roman dinner. Together we will discover how ordinary families gathered their ingredients, tended their cooking fires, and shared meals that connected them to traditions stretching back centuries. Thank you for joining me on this gentle journey through time. Settle into your favourite spot, let your breathing slow, and allow yourself to drift back nearly 2,000 years to experience the quiet rhythms of Roman domestic life. The sun hangs low over the 7 hills of Rome, casting golden light through narrow windows into modest homes throughout the city. You stand in the atrium of a typical Roman dwelling, feeling the coolness of stone floors beneath your feet. The air carries the mingled scents of wood smoke, olive oil, and fresh herbs drifting from kitchens across the neighbourhood. Evening approaches, and it is time to prepare the day's main meal. Most people imagine Romans constantly feasting on elaborate banquets with exotic delicacies, but actually the majority of Roman families ate quite simply. Their daily dinner, called cena, consisted of basic ingredients prepared with care and shared in the flickering light of oil lamps. Tonight you witness this humble yet satisfying ritual as a Roman family prepares their evening meal. The kitchen lies toward the back of the house, a small room dominated by a raised hearth built of clay bricks. Unlike modern kitchens with their gleaming surfaces, this space feels earthy and organic. Clay pots of various sizes line wooden shelves, their surfaces darkened from years of use over open flames. Amphorae lean against stone walls, their pointed bottoms designed to nestle securely in sand or special stands. The air here feels warmer, tinged with the permanent scent of herbs and the faint char of countless cooking fires. Your attention turns to the ingredients being gathered for tonight's meal. A woven basket sits on the wooden preparation table, slowly filling with the components of dinner. First comes the bread, but not the crusty loaves you might expect. Roman bread varies dramatically depending on social class and region. The family you observe tonight belongs to the working class, so their bread is dense and dark, made from a mixture of wheat, barley, and sometimes even ground beans or lentils when grain runs scarce. The loaf feels heavy in your hands, its crust thick and slightly rough. Romans baked bread in large communal ovens shared by entire neighbourhoods, since most homes lack the space for individual baking facilities. The baker marks each family's loaf with a distinctive stamp before sliding it into the massive stone oven with long wooden paddles. This evening's bread still carries the faint sweetness of wood smoke absorbed during baking. Next to the bread, small clay bowls hold different varieties of olives. These are not the uniform black or green olives you might recognise from modern markets. Instead, you see olives in various stages of ripeness and preparation. Some appear wrinkled and dark, cured in sea salt for months until their flesh becomes tender and concentrated in flavour. Others maintain their green colour, preserved in brine flavoured with wild fennel and coriander seeds. A few specialty olives have been stuffed with pine nuts or small pieces of aged cheese, though these represent a small luxury for this modest household. The family harvests these olives from groves just outside the city walls. Most Romans understand that olive trees represent far more than just food. They symbolise peace, wisdom, and the very foundation of Mediterranean civilization. The oil pressed from these olives serves not only for cooking but also for lighting lamps, cleaning skin, and treating minor wounds. Nothing from the olive tree goes to waste. Scattered across the table, fresh herbs create a tapestry of green shades and aromatic possibilities. Your fingers brush against sprigs of rosemary, its needle-like leaves releasing their pine-scented oil at the slightest touch. Oregano clusters in small bunches, its leaves already beginning to dry in the warm kitchen air. Parsley grows in clay pots near the window, where morning sunlight encourages fresh growth throughout the growing season. But the herb that truly defines Roman cooking spreads its distinctive aroma through the kitchen: garum. This fermented fish sauce, made from fish entrails, salt and herbs left to cure in the Mediterranean sun for several months, serves as the primary seasoning for most Roman dishes. While the idea might seem strange to modern palates, garum provides the same umami richness that soy sauce offers in Asian cuisine. Every Roman kitchen contains several varieties, from expensive versions made with tuna and mackerel to everyday types using smaller fish and scraps. The cooking process begins as shadows lengthen outside. A servant tends the cooking fire, carefully arranging pieces of charcoal to create zones of different heat intensities. Roman cooking requires patience and skill, since controlling temperature depends entirely on managing the fire and positioning cookware at precise distances from the flames. Clay pots of different shapes serve specific purposes: wide, shallow pans for frying, deep vessels for stewing, and specialized forms for baking and roasting. Let us stop here for a moment, dear listeners. If you are enjoying this peaceful journey through ancient Roman kitchens, I invite you to join our community of nighttime travelers by subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. Your support helps us continue exploring these quiet corners of history together. Take a moment to like this video and let us know in the comments where you are settling in to sleep tonight and what time it is in your part of the world. Now, let us return to our Roman kitchen as the evening meal takes shape. The family begins preparing their simple feast as oil lamps cast dancing shadows on stone walls. A clay pot sits over glowing coals, warming olive oil infused with crushed garlic and fresh herbs. The oil shimmers and releases fragrant steam that carries the essential scents of Roman cooking throughout the small kitchen. This aromatic oil will dress the bread and vegetables, transforming simple ingredients into something nourishing and satisfying. Romans approach cooking with a philosophy quite different from modern fast-paced meal preparation. They understand that good food develops slowly, allowing flavors to meld and ingredients to reach their full potential. Tonight's vegetables, leeks, onions, and whatever seasonal produce the family has acquired from local markets will simmer gently in clay vessels, absorbing the smokiness of the wood fire and the richness of good olive oil. The bread receives special attention as the family prepares to transform it from a simple loaf into the foundation of their meal. Roman families rarely eat bread plain. Instead, they slice it thick and toast the pieces over the cooking fire until the surfaces become golden and slightly charred. The warmth releases the grain's natural sweetness while creating a sturdy base for the olive oil and herbs that will top each piece. Most people assume Romans ate sitting at tables like modern families, but actually many Romans took their main meal reclining on couches arranged around low tables. Even modest households arrange their dining area to encourage relaxation and conversation. Soft cushions covered in simple wool fabrics provide comfort, while small side tables hold cups of wine mixed with water and honey. The wine deserves special mention, since Romans consume it quite differently than we might expect. Pure wine is considered barbaric. Only uncultured people drink unmixed wine. Instead, Romans dilute their wine with water, often adding spices, honey, or herbs to create refreshing beverages suited to the season and occasion. Tonight's wine has been mixed with water and sweetened slightly with honey, creating a gentle drink that complements the simple food without overwhelming delicate flavors. As the meal comes together, the kitchen fills with the layered aromas of toasted bread, warm olive oil, and fresh herbs. The family works together with practiced efficiency, each person understanding their role in the ancient dance of meal preparation. Younger family members arrange cushions and prepare the dining area, while experienced cooks tend the fire and monitor the various dishes reaching completion. The evening air grows cooler as night settles over the city, but inside the Roman home, warmth and contentment prevail. Soon this family will gather around their low table, sharing simple food prepared with care and attention. Their meal connects them not only to each other, but to countless generations of Romans who found satisfaction in the same basic ingredients transformed by fire, patience, and love. The gathering of ingredients for tonight's meal began hours earlier, when the first rays of sunlight touched the rooftops of Rome. You follow the family's morning routine as they venture into the bustling streets to acquire the components of their evening feast. The air feels crisp and promising, filled with the calls of vendors already setting up their wares in the Forum Boarium, the ancient cattle market that has expanded to include all manner of foodstuffs. Most people picture Roman markets as grand, organized spaces, but actually the typical neighborhood market spreads chaotically through narrow streets and small plazas. Vendors arrange their goods on wooden planks supported by clay amphoras, creating temporary stalls that can be quickly dismantled if officials demand access for ox carts or military processions. The family navigates through this maze of commerce, their woven baskets already containing coins carefully saved for today's purchases. The bread vendor operates from a corner position where two streets meet, his location chosen to catch customers from multiple directions. His apprentice feeds wood into a clay oven built directly into the street side wall of their shop. The heat radiating from this oven warms your face as you approach, and you notice how other vendors position themselves nearby to take advantage of the ambient warmth on cool mornings. Romans purchase bread using a system far more complex than simple coin exchange. The baker weighs each loaf on bronze scales, adjusting the price based on the exact weight and the current cost of grain, which fluctuates based on harvest quality and shipping delays from Egypt to North Africa. Today's bread incorporates wheat from Egyptian farms, barley from Gaul, and even some spelt, an ancient grain that adds nutty flavour and helps the bread stay fresh longer in Rome's humid climate. The baker's workshop reveals surprising technological sophistication. His grinding stones, called quernstones, can process grain into flour so fine it rivals modern milling techniques. The lower stone remains stationary while the upper stone rotates, driven by a wooden handle that requires two people to operate efficiently. The family watches as fresh grain disappears between the stones, emerging as pale flour that will become tomorrow's bread. But today's bread tells a different story. The loaf the family selects shows the characteristic scoring marks that identify not just the baker, but the specific batch and baking time. Romans developed this system because bread quality varies dramatically, depending on the fire's temperature and the position within the large communal oven. Experienced buyers know which marks indicate the best placement near the oven's hot spots, where crusts develop properly without burning. The family's bread choice reflects their social status in ways that might surprise you. Wealthy Romans consume panis candidus, pure white bread made from the finest wheat flour, with the bran completely removed. The working family you observe tonight purchases panis plebeius, darker bread that includes more of the grain's natural components. But this bread offers superior nutrition, containing fibre, minerals and B vitamins that the refined white bread lacks entirely. Roman bakers add ingredients that would seem strange to modern tastes. Some bread contains ground acorns, which provide natural preservatives and a subtle nutty flavour. Others incorporate chickpea flour, not from poverty, but because Romans discovered that legume proteins create better texture and help bread stay moist longer. The most expensive breads include imported spices like cardamom from India or long pepper from Southeast Asia, transforming simple bread into an exotic luxury. Your attention shifts to the olive vendors, whose stalls create a Mediterranean symphony of colours, textures and aromas. Unlike modern supermarkets with their uniform products, Roman olive sellers offer bewildering variety. Each vendor specialises in olives from specific regions, and experienced buyers can identify an olive's origin by appearance, texture and taste alone. The olives you examine come from groves scattered across the Roman world. Small, wrinkled olives from Spanish hillsides pack intense flavour into their concentrated flesh. Plump green olives from Greek islands maintain their firm texture even after months of salt curing. Most prized are the oil-rich olives from North Africa, so dense with precious oil that they almost dissolve on the tongue. Romans preserve olives using techniques passed down through generations, but with innovations that demonstrate their practical genius. The simplest method involves packing fresh olives in coarse sea salt, which draws out bitter compounds while preserving the fruit. But Roman preservation goes far beyond basic salting. Some olives ferment in sealed clay vessels with wild yeasts that develop complex, wine-like flavours over months of careful aging. The family selects olives preserved in what Romans call oenogarum, a mixture of wine and fermented fish sauce that creates a preservation medium rich in probiotics. These olives develop a unique umami depth that complements simple bread and olive oil perfectly. The preservation liquid itself becomes a valuable cooking ingredient, used to add complexity to stews and sauces. Most people assume olives were always eaten as we know them today, but actually fresh olives from the tree are completely inedible due to natural compounds called oleuropenes that make them extremely bitter. Romans discovered that these compounds break down through fermentation, salt curing, or treatment with wood ash water. The process requires patience. Properly cured olives need at least 2 months of careful tending before they become edible. Roman olive oil production reveals technological sophistication that wouldn't be matched again until the industrial age. The family's olive oil comes from presses that use precisely calculated leverage to extract maximum oil without crushing the pits, which would create bitter flavours. Master oil makers can judge the exact pressure needed by listening to the sound of oil flowing from the crushed olives. The oil's quality depends entirely on timing and temperature. The finest oil, called oleum ex albis olivis, comes from green olives pressed immediately after harvest while still firm and fresh. This oil maintains a bright, almost grassy flavour, with enough natural acidity to preserve itself for months without refrigeration. Lesser grades come from riper olives or second pressings, producing oil suitable for cooking and lamp fuel, but lacking the delicate flavours prized for direct consumption. Your exploration continues at the herb cellars, where the air becomes thick with concentrated aromatics. Roman herb vendors arrange their products not just by type, but by intended use. Culinary herbs occupy one section, medicinal plants another, and religious herbs used for household shrines fill a third area. Many plants serve multiple purposes, blurring the lines between food, medicine, and spiritual practice. The herbs you observe growing in small clay pots represent a sophisticated understanding of plant cultivation. Romans discovered that many Mediterranean herbs actually improve in flavour when grown in poor soil with minimal water. The stress of harsh conditions concentrates essential oils, creating more intense flavours than plants grown in rich, well-watered gardens. Fresh rosemary branches show the needle-like leaves that contain oils powerful enough to preserve meat without refrigeration. Romans discovered that rosemary contains natural antioxidants that prevent rancidity, making it invaluable for preserving cooked foods in warm Mediterranean climates. The herb also repels insects, so Romans scatter fresh rosemary around food storage areas and weave it into baskets used for carrying provisions. Oregano grows in abundance throughout Roman territories, but the family selects varieties from specific mountain regions where cold winters and rocky soil concentrate the plant's essential oils. Roman cooks understand that oregano's flavour peaks just before the plant flowers, when the leaves contain maximum aromatic compounds. They harvest oregano at this precise moment, drying it quickly in shaded, well-ventilated areas to preserve the volatile oils that give the herb its distinctive character. The parsley, you observe, differs significantly from modern curly varieties. Roman parsley grows with flat leaves that contain more essential oils and stronger flavours than their decorative descendants. Romans used parsley not just as garnish, but as a primary flavouring agent, chopping it finely and mixing it into everything from bread to wine. They believe parsley aids digestion and neutralises the effects of consuming too much wine, beliefs that modern research partially supports. But the most intriguing herb preparation involves silphium, a now extinct plant that Romans valued more highly than gold. The family examines small packets of powdered silphium root, debating whether their budget allows such an extravagance. This mysterious herb, which grew only in the mountains of North Africa, supposedly provided flavouring so exceptional that Romans literally consumed it to extinction. Modern botanists can only guess at its taste based on Roman descriptions of its garlic-like pungency and supposed ability to enhance any dish. As morning progresses toward midday, the family completes their ingredient gathering and returns home to begin the slow process of preparation. Their kitchen awaits, with its clay vessels and glowing hearth, ready to transform these simple components into the evening's nourishment. The bread will be sliced and toasted, the olives arranged in small bowls, and the herbs prepared in various forms to season and enhance every element of the meal. The ingredients now assembled represent more than mere food. They embody the vast trading networks that connect Rome to the furthest reaches of the known world, the agricultural wisdom accumulated over centuries of Mediterranean farming, and the daily rituals that bind families together around shared meals. Tonight's simple dinner carries the weight of history in every bite, connecting this Roman family to traditions that stretch back to the foundation of their eternal city. The afternoon sun slants through the kitchen's small window as the family begins the methodical process that will transform their gathered ingredients into tonight's meal. You watch as the cook, typically the eldest woman of the household, approaches the hearth with the reverence of someone who understands that fire represents both life and destruction. Her movements are deliberate, each gesture informed by years of experience managing flames that can either nourish or consume. The Roman cooking fire differs dramatically from modern gas burners or electric elements. This fire lives and breathes, requiring constant attention and adjustment. The cook begins by selecting her fuel with the same care a modern chef might choose: cooking oil. Different woods impart distinct flavors to food, and Romans developed an elaborate understanding of how each type affects taste. Oak burns long and steady, providing reliable heat for slow cooking stews and porridge. Olive wood, when available, burns clean and adds subtle fruity notes that enhance bread and vegetables. Pine, though it burns hot and fast, can make food taste resinous if used carelessly. Today's fire starts with carefully preserved coals from yesterday's cooking, glowing embers that have been buried in ash overnight to maintain their heat. Most people imagine Romans starting fresh fires daily, but actually maintaining continuous coals was far more practical than repeatedly creating fire from scratch. The cook uncovers these precious embers with a bronze tool specifically designed for the purpose, its long handle protecting her hands from the intense heat that radiates from the banked coals. She feeds the coals with thin strips of dry kindling, watching as small flames lick upward and begin consuming the wood. The art lies in building the fire gradually, allowing each layer of fuel to catch and burn cleanly before adding more material. Too much wood at once creates smoky, inefficient combustion that fills the kitchen with acrid fumes and deposits soot on cookware. Too little fuel results in weak flames that cannot maintain proper cooking temperatures. The clay cookware arranged around the hearth represents technological achievements that wouldn't be surpassed until the development of modern ceramics. Roman potters understood that different clay compositions work better for specific cooking methods. Cooking pots designed for slow simmering contain tempers, added materials like crushed shells or sand that help the clay expand and contract without cracking as temperatures change. These vessels can withstand direct flame contact for hours without breaking, a feat that requires precise control of clay composition and firing temperatures. You observe the cook selecting a wide, shallow pan called a patina for preparing vegetables. This vessel's broad surface area allows ingredients to cook evenly while enabling quick evaporation of excess moisture. The pan's clay contains a high percentage of sand, making it ideal for browning and sautéing at higher temperatures. Its interior shows the dark patina that develops over years of use, a natural non-stick surface created by accumulated oils and careful seasoning. The cooking process begins with preparing the olive oil, but not in the way you might expect. Romans rarely use oil straight from storage vessels. Instead, the cook pours oil into a small clay cup and examines it carefully, checking for clarity and sniffing for any signs of rancidity. Good oil should appear golden green with no cloudiness, and its aroma should carry the fresh scent of olives without any bitter or sour notes. Romans understand that oil quality can make or break a dish, so they invest considerable time in evaluation before cooking begins. The selected oil goes into the patina, which sits on a tripod over glowing coals. The cook adjusts the vessel's height by changing the tripod's position, controlling temperature through distance from the heat source rather than flame intensity. This method provides remarkably precise temperature control once you understand the relationships between fuel, flame, distance, and cooking vessel thermal mass. As the oil warms, it begins to shimmer and release aromatic compounds that fill the kitchen with the essential scent of Roman cooking. The cook tests the oil's temperature by dropping in a small piece of bread. If it sizzles gently without violent bubbling, the temperature is perfect for slow cooking vegetables. This technique demonstrates Romans' intuitive understanding of cooking temperatures centuries before thermometers existed. The first ingredients to enter the warm oil are aromatics, garlic, onions, and fresh herbs that will build the flavor foundation for everything that follows. Most people assume Romans cooked with intense heat like modern stir-frying, but actually, Roman cooking emphasizes gentle, slow development of flavors. The garlic cooks slowly until it becomes fragrant and golden, releasing its essential oils into the warm olive oil without burning or becoming bitter. Roman cooks developed sophisticated techniques for managing moisture during slow cooking. They understand that vegetables release water as they cook, and controlling this moisture determines whether ingredients caramelize properly or simply steam in their own juices. The cook periodically tilts the pan to collect accumulated liquids in one corner, then uses a bronze ladle to remove excess moisture that might interfere with browning. The bread preparation reveals another aspect of Roman cooking philosophy. Nothing should be rushed, and every component deserves individual attention. Rather than simply toasting bread over open flames, the cook uses a specialized clay vessel called a testum, essentially a portable oven that sits directly on coals. The bread slices go inside this covered vessel, where they toast evenly in dry heat that creates crispy exteriors while maintaining soft interiors. The testum works on principles that wouldn't be rediscovered until the development of modern Dutch ovens. The clay vessel retains heat evenly, creating consistent temperatures throughout its interior. Steam from the bread itself creates a slightly humid environment that prevents the crusts from becoming too hard while still achieving proper browning. The cook monitors progress by listening to subtle sounds. Properly toasting bread produces gentle crackling as moisture escapes from the crust. Roman cooking timing operates on natural rhythms rather than precise measurements. The cook judges doneness through sensory cues developed over years of experience. She listens to how food sounds as it cooks, the gentle bubbling that indicates proper simmering, the subtle crackling that means moisture is evaporating correctly, the silence that suggests ingredients have finished releasing their liquids and begun concentrating flavors. Visual cues provide equally important information. The cook watches for the moment when onions transition from opaque white to translucent golden, indicating that their harsh bite has mellowed into sweetness. She observes how olive oil changes color as it absorbs flavors from cooking ingredients, becoming deeper and more complex. The surface of cooking liquids tells stories. Smooth, barely moving surfaces indicate gentle simmering, while vigorous bubbling suggests temperatures too high for proper flavor development. Aromatic changes mark different phases of the cooking process. Fresh herbs release their essential oils at different rates and temperatures, so the cook adds them strategically throughout cooking rather than all at once. Rosemary goes in early because its robust oils need time to mellow and integrate with other flavors. Delicate herbs like parsley wait until the final moments, when residual heat will warm them enough to release aromatics without destroying their fresh brightness. The concept of slow cooking extends beyond simple time management to embrace a philosophy of patience and attention. Roman cooks understand that flavors develop through chemical processes that cannot be rushed. Proteins break down gradually, creating rich, complex tastes. Sugars caramelize slowly, adding depth and sweetness. Acids mellow and integrate, balancing sharpness with richness. This approach requires constant adjustment and observation. The cook frequently tastes her preparations, but not in the casual way modern cooks might sample food. Roman tasting involves careful analysis, evaluating salt levels, acid balance, aromatic intensity, and textural development. Based on these assessments, she makes subtle adjustments, adding pinches of herbs, adjusting cooking positions relative to the fire, or modifying liquid levels. The clay cookware itself participates in flavour development in ways that metal pans cannot replicate. Clay is slightly porous, allowing it to absorb and release flavours over time. Well-seasoned Roman cookware carries flavour memories from countless previous meals, contributing subtle complexity to new dishes. The clay also radiates heat gently and evenly, preventing the hot spots that can cause burning or uneven cooking. Temperature management becomes an intricate dance between fuel, flame, and positioning. The cook maintains different heat zones around her fire. Intense heat directly over flames for quick searing, moderate heat at medium distance for steady simmering, and gentle warmth at the fire's edges for keeping finished dishes warm. She moves cookware between these zones as recipes progress, each repositioning calculated to achieve specific cooking effects. The kitchen fills with layered aromas as multiple dishes progress simultaneously. Bread toasts in its clay oven, releasing the nutty scents of browning grain. Vegetables simmer gently in herbed oil, their individual flavours melding into harmonious complexity. The fire itself contributes smoky notes that permeate everything without overwhelming delicate tastes. Roman cooking also embraces the concept of cooking in stages, with ingredients added at precisely the right moments to achieve optimal results. Harder vegetables that require longer cooking enter the pan first. Delicate ingredients that might overcook join the preparation only when everything else nears completion. This orchestrated timing ensures that every component reaches perfect domness simultaneously. The slow cooking process creates time for other preparations. While main dishes simmer gently, the cook prepares accompaniments, arranges serving vessels, and tends to details that will enhance the final presentation. Roman meals emphasize harmony, not just of flavors, but of textures, temperatures, and visual appeal. As evening approaches and cooking nears completion, the kitchen has transformed into a warm, aromatic sanctuary, where simple ingredients have become something greater than the sum of their parts. The patient application of heat, time, and attention has created the foundation for tonight's gathering, when family members will share not just food, but the satisfaction that comes from meals prepared with care and respect for ancient traditions. The kitchen's warm glow begins to spread throughout the house as other family members emerge from their afternoon activities to participate in the evening's preparations. You witness a carefully choreographed dance of domestic life, where each person understands their role in transforming scattered ingredients into a shared meal. The hierarchy and responsibilities might surprise you with their complexity and the unexpected freedoms they provide to different family members. The paterfamilias, the male head of household, does not retreat to a separate room to await service as many imagine. Instead, he moves between the kitchen and the main living areas, overseeing preparations while handling tasks that blend domestic duty with social responsibility. Most people picture Roman men as completely removed from food preparation, but actually, the head of household bears ultimate responsibility for ensuring his family eats well. He checks that servants have properly banked the cooking fires, examines the quality of wine selected for tonight's meal, and makes decisions about which preserved foods to open from the family's stores. His involvement extends to quality control in ways that reveal Roman attitudes toward food safety and family welfare. He tastes the oil used for cooking, ensuring it hasn't developed the rancid flavors that could spoil the entire meal. He examines bread for signs of mold or improper fermentation, knowing that bad grain can sicken his entire household. This hands-on approach stems from Roman law, which holds the paterfamilias legally and morally responsible for everything that happens under his roof. The children's roles vary dramatically depending on their age and gender, but all participate in ways that prepare them for adult responsibilities. Young boys learn to tend fires, understanding how different arrangements of fuel create the heat zones necessary for complex cooking. They practice splitting kindling to precise sizes, learning that uniform pieces burn more predictably than random chunks of wood. These skills prepare them not just for future domestic life, but for military service, where managing campfires often determines whether soldiers eat hot meals or go hungry. Girls as young as 6 begin learning the intricate tasks that will define their adult lives. They start with simple responsibilities like grinding spices in small mortars, developing the steady rhythm and patient attention that herb preparation requires. You watch as a young daughter works a pestle in careful circles, breaking down coriander seeds into aromatic powder that will season tonight's vegetables. Her movements mirror those of her mother and grandmother, creating an unbroken chain of culinary knowledge passed through generations. The eldest daughter shoulders responsibilities that might surprise modern observers. She manages much of the meal's timing, coordinating when different dishes begin cooking so everything finishes simultaneously. This requires sophisticated understanding of how long various ingredients take to reach optimal doneness. She knows that root vegetables need longer cooking times than leafy greens, that bread toasts faster in clay vessels preheated by previous use, and that certain herbs lose their potency if added too early in the cooking process. Roman daughters also handle the family's relationship with neighbours during meal preparation. They coordinate with other households to share cooking fires during busy periods, trade ingredients when one family runs short of essential items, and maintain the social networks that ensure everyone in the neighbourhood eats well. A daughter might venture next door to borrow a pinch of expensive imported pepper, knowing her family will reciprocate when neighbours need something they possess. The role of servants in Roman households creates a complex dynamic that challenges simple assumptions about ancient slavery. While slaves certainly work under compulsion, the kitchen environment fosters relationships that blur traditional power structures. Experienced cooking slaves often possess knowledge and skills that exceed those of their owners, particularly regarding techniques for preparing elaborate dishes or managing difficult ingredients. You observe how the household's main cook, an older woman who has served this family for decades, actually directs much of the evening's preparation. Her expertise commands respect from free family members who defer to her judgment about seasoning, timing, and technique. She tastes dishes in progress and makes adjustments based on experience that spans thousands of meals prepared in this very kitchen. Most people imagine Roman slaves as downtrodden and miserable, but actually kitchen slaves in stable households often enjoy relatively comfortable lives. Good cooks are valuable property, and smart owners protect their investments. The cook you observe wears clean clothing suitable for food preparation, eats well from the same ingredients she prepares for the family, and exercises considerable autonomy in managing kitchen operations. The preparation of tonight's meal reveals how Romans blur the lines between work and social interaction. Family members and servants work together, sharing tasks while engaging in conversations that range from neighbourhood gossip to discussions of public events. The kitchen becomes a hub of information exchange, where different generations and social classes interact more freely than in formal household spaces. Roman women's roles in meal preparation extend far beyond simple cooking. The mistress of the house manages inventory, ensuring the family maintains adequate supplies of staple ingredients while monitoring the condition of stored foods. She inspects amphoras of oil for signs of leakage or contamination, rotates grain stores to use older supplies before they spoil, and makes decisions about when to purchase fresh provisions versus using preserved alternatives. Her responsibilities include understanding seasonal availability of ingredients and planning meals accordingly. She knows which months offer the best olive harvests, when imported spices arrive from eastern trading expeditions, and how weather patterns affect the quality of locally grown vegetables. This knowledge allows her to purchase ingredients at optimal times, ensuring both quality and economy. Roman meal planning also involves complex social calculations. The evening's menu reflects not just the family's preferences, but their social obligations and aspirations. Serving higher quality ingredients demonstrates prosperity and good management, while offering too elaborate a meal might appear pretentious or wasteful. The family must balance showing appropriate hospitality with maintaining their social position within neighborhood hierarchies. The dining preparations reveal another layer of Roman domestic customs. Family members arrange the triclinium, the dining room with its characteristic 3 couches positioned around a low central table. Most people picture Romans constantly reclining during meals, but actually this dining style was reserved for the main evening meal and special occasions. For simpler meals, Romans often sat on stools or benches like other ancient peoples. The arrangement of dining couches follows strict social protocols. The most honoured position, called the locus consularis, occupies the right end of the middle couch, where the guest or family head can easily converse with everyone present. Other positions reflect family hierarchy and social relationships in ways that would be immediately understood by any Roman, but might seem arbitrary to modern observers. Younger family members prepare the dining area by arranging cushions covered in wool or linen fabrics appropriate to the family's economic status. They set out small side tables for individual wine cups and finger foods, position oil lamps to provide adequate lighting without creating smoke that might interfere with conversation, and ensure fresh water is available for hand washing between courses. The wine service reveals sophisticated Roman understanding of how different beverages complement various foods. Tonight's wine has been selected to pair with the simple flavours of bread, olives and herbs, rather than compete with them. Roman wine culture emphasizes balance and moderation. The goal is to enhance conversation and digestion, not to achieve intoxication. They dilute wine with water in ratios that depend on the wine's strength, the season, and the occasion. Most people assume Romans drank wine because they lacked safe water, but actually Romans had access to excellent water through their famous aqueduct systems. They chose wine for its flavour, nutritional value, and social significance. Different dilution ratios create beverages suitable for various times of day and social situations. Strong wine mixed with minimal water suits cold weather and heavy meals, while highly diluted wine provides refreshing drinks for hot afternoons. The family's approach to serving food reflects Roman values about hospitality and abundance. Rather than bringing out courses in sequence, they arrange multiple dishes simultaneously, creating visual displays that demonstrate both plenty and variety. Small bowls hold different preparations of olives. Bread appears in various forms, and herbs are presented both fresh and prepared in oils and vinegars. This serving style encourages conversation and social interaction. Diners can sample different combinations of flavors, discuss their preferences, and share discoveries about particularly successful preparations. The meal becomes less about consuming specific dishes and more about experiencing food as a social and sensory adventure. Roman dining customs also include rituals that connect meals to spiritual beliefs. Before eating begins, the paterfamilias performs a small offering to the household gods, the lares and penates, who protect the family and ensure continued prosperity. A portion of bread and a few drops of wine go into the household shrine, acknowledging divine favor that enables the family to gather and share food safely. These religious observances aren't mere formalities, but expressions of genuine gratitude and spiritual connection. Romans understand that successful meals depend on factors beyond human control: good weather for crops, safe transportation of goods, absence of disease or disaster. The offerings recognize these divine influences while asking for continued blessings on the household. The evening's gathering represents more than simple nourishment. It embodies Roman values about family unity, social responsibility, and cultural continuity. Each person's participation in meal preparation and consumption reinforces their place within the household hierarchy, while contributing to the collective well-being that defines successful Roman domestic life. As shadows deepen outside and oil lamps begin to dominate the lighting, the family prepares to transition from the active phase of meal preparation to the more contemplative experience of sharing food together. Their work throughout the afternoon has created not just dinner, but the foundation for an evening of connection that will strengthen family bonds and maintain the social traditions that define Roman civilization. The oil lamps cast dancing shadows across the triclinium as the family settles into their dining positions, but the scene that unfolds challenges many assumptions about Roman eating habits. You observe the paterfamilias reclining on his left elbow, his right hand free for reaching food, yet his posture appears surprisingly casual rather than formally rigid. The other family members arrange themselves with practiced ease, their positions reflecting both comfort and social awareness. The meal begins not with elaborate ceremony, but with simple acknowledgement of the day's blessings. The paterfamilias takes a small portion of bread, breaks it carefully, and places a piece on the household shrine, along with a few drops of wine diluted with water. His movements are reverent but brief. This is daily gratitude rather than formal ritual. The family waits respectfully during this offering, then settles into the comfortable rhythms of shared eating. Most people imagine Romans gorging themselves on massive quantities of exotic foods, but actually a typical family meal emphasizes moderation and balance. Tonight's portions reflect Roman understanding that overeating leads to discomfort and poor digestion. Each person receives enough bread to satisfy hunger without creating heaviness, olives in quantities that provide flavor and nutrition without overwhelming the palate, and wine mixed to complement the food rather than dominate the senses. The eating implements tell their own story about Roman dining philosophy. You notice the absence of forks, which wouldn't be invented for centuries. Instead, Romans use their hands with remarkable elegance and efficiency, employing techniques that maximize cleanliness while enabling sophisticated food manipulation. They eat with their right hands exclusively, keeping their left hands clean for handling shared serving vessels and wine cups. Roman hand-washing rituals occur throughout the meal rather than just at the beginning and end. Small bowls of scented water circulate regularly, allowing diners to cleanse their fingers before moving between different foods. The water contains herbs like mint or rose petals that provide pleasant aromas while helping to cleanse palates between different flavors. Servants refresh these bowls frequently, ensuring the water remains clean and fragrant throughout the dining experience. The bread service reveals sophisticated Roman understanding of texture and flavor combinations. Rather than simply tearing pieces from loaves, family members break bread into sizes appropriate for different purposes. Larger pieces serve as edible plates for olives and herb preparations, while smaller fragments work better for soaking up flavored oils and wine. The Romans discovered that different bread sizes and shapes affect how flavors combine in the mouth. You observe how Romans actually consume their bread and olive combinations. They don't simply bite into bread spread with toppings like modern sandwiches. Instead, they create temporary assemblages, placing olives on bread pieces, drizzling with seasoned oil, and eating the entire combination in single bites that allow all flavors to meld simultaneously. This technique ensures optimal balance between the bread's nutty grain flavors, the olive's rich saltiness, and the herb's aromatic oils. The wine consumption patterns differ dramatically from modern dinner party practices. Romans sip wine slowly throughout the meal, taking small amounts that enhance digestion without causing intoxication. They understand that wine's acidity helps break down the oils in olives and bread, making nutrients more available while cleansing the palate between different flavors. The diluted wine also provides hydration in ways that pure wine cannot match. Roman conversation during meals follows unwritten rules that balance social interaction with proper eating etiquette. Diners discuss topics appropriate to evening relaxation, family news, neighborhood events, observations about the day's activities. They avoid controversial subjects that might create tension, or subjects so complex they interfere with food appreciation. The goal is gentle stimulation that enhances both digestion and social bonding. The pace of Roman eating surprises modern observers accustomed to hurried meals. Family members eat slowly, chewing thoroughly, and pausing frequently for conversation. This deliberate pace serves multiple purposes. It aids digestion, allows fuller appreciation of flavors, and creates time for the social interactions that transform simple nourishment into meaningful family bonding. Most people assume Romans ate enormous meals because of stories about imperial banquets, but actually, ordinary Romans practiced careful portion control. They understood that moderate eating promotes health and longevity, while excessive consumption leads to discomfort and illness. Tonight's meal provides adequate nutrition without the heaviness that interferes with evening activities or restful sleep. The serving style creates opportunities for family members to demonstrate care for each other. The paterfamilias ensures his wife receives choice olives, while she makes sure children get adequate bread. Older children help younger siblings manage their food, and everyone watches to ensure no family member goes without adequate nourishment. These small acts of consideration reinforce family bonds while teaching children about social responsibility. Roman attitudes toward different foods reflect sophisticated understanding of nutrition and digestion, though expressed in terms different from modern scientific knowledge. They believe olives provide strength and endurance, bread supplies the energy needed for daily work, and herbs aid digestion while preventing illness. Wine in moderation promotes health and social harmony, while excessive consumption disrupts both physical and social well-being. The family's eating positions allow for easy conversation while maintaining dignity and comfort. Reclining diners can make eye contact with each other, gesture expressively without interfering with food consumption, and shift positions as needed to prevent stiffness or discomfort. This arrangement encourages the relaxed atmosphere that Romans consider essential for proper digestion and social bonding. You notice how Romans handle the social dynamics of shared eating. When someone wants food from a common dish, they wait for natural pauses in conversation rather than interrupting speakers. They take portions appropriate to their status and appetite without appearing greedy or wasteful. These subtle courtesies ensure that communal eating strengthens rather than strains family relationships. The lighting contributes significantly to the meal's atmosphere. Oil lamps provide warm, gentle illumination that flatters faces and creates intimate spaces around the dining area. The flickering flames add visual interest without distraction, while the subtle scents from burning oil enhance the overall sensory experience. Romans understand that proper lighting affects both digestion and social interaction. Roman meal timing reflects natural rhythms rather than artificial schedules. The family eats when food reaches optimal preparation, when natural lighting begins to fade, and when the day's work allows everyone to gather comfortably. This flexibility ensures that meals occur when family members can fully appreciate both the food and each other's company. The children's behavior during meals demonstrates Roman approaches to education and socialization. Young family members learn proper eating techniques through observation and gentle correction rather than formal instruction. They discover appropriate conversation topics by listening to adult discussions and gradually contributing their own observations. The meal becomes a classroom for social skills that will serve them throughout their lives. Roman understanding of food combinations reveals empirical knowledge gained through generations of experience. They know which flavors complement each other, which textures create pleasing contrasts, and which combinations aid or hinder digestion. Tonight's simple meal demonstrates these principles. The bread's mild grain flavors provide a foundation for stronger olive and herb tastes, while the wine's acidity balances the oil's richness. The meal's progression follows natural rhythms of appetite and social energy. Family members eat more actively at the beginning when hunger is strongest, then gradually shift toward more leisurely consumption as physical needs are satisfied. Conversation becomes more prominent as eating slows, creating a natural transition from nourishment to social bonding. Roman attitudes toward leftovers reflect practical wisdom about food preservation and household economy. Any bread not consumed tonight will be saved for tomorrow's breakfast or transformed into other dishes through creative preparation. Remaining olives keep well in their preservation oils, while unused herbs can be dried for future seasoning. Nothing edible goes to waste in a well-managed Roman household. The family's appreciation for simple foods demonstrates Roman values about contentment and gratitude. They find genuine pleasure in basic ingredients prepared with care and attention. Their satisfaction comes not from exotic luxury, but from the quality of preparation, the warmth of family interaction, and the security of sharing adequate food in comfortable surroundings. As the meal progresses toward its natural conclusion, the atmosphere becomes increasingly relaxed and contemplative. Conversation flows easily between family members, punctuated by comfortable silences, as everyone appreciates the evening's simple pleasures. The combination of good food, gentle wine, and loving companionship creates the contentment that Romans consider the highest goal of domestic life. The evening air grows cooler outside, but inside the triclinium, warmth and satisfaction prevail. Oil lamps continue their gentle flickering, casting golden light on faces softened by wine and contentment. The simple meal has accomplished its deeper purposes, nourishing bodies, strengthening family bonds, and connecting this household to the ancient traditions that define Roman civilization. Soon the formal meal will end, but its effects will linger through the evening and into tomorrow. The family has shared more than food. They have renewed their connections to each other and to the cultural values that give meaning to their daily lives. In a few hours, they will retire to restful sleep, nourished in both body and spirit by this gentle evening of simple pleasures shared in the flickering lamplight of their Roman home. The gentle transition from active eating to evening relaxation begins as the family members gradually shift their attention from the remaining food to the subtle rituals that mark the end of their shared meal. You observe how Romans approach this transition not as an abrupt conclusion, but as a flowing movement into the quieter rhythms that will carry them towards sleep. The paterfamilias signals the meal's formal end, not by standing or making announcements, but by offering a final small libation to the household gods, a gesture that acknowledges both gratitude for the evening's nourishment and hope for continued blessings. The clearing of food follows patterns that might surprise those who imagine Roman households with armies of servants rushing to remove dishes. Instead, family members participate in tidying their dining space, each person taking responsibility for their immediate area. Children learn valuable lessons about household management by helping collect empty bowls and wine cups, while adults handle more delicate items like oil lamps and serving vessels. This shared responsibility reinforces family unity while teaching practical skills that will serve throughout their lives. Most people assume Romans immediately retired to separate chambers after eating, but actually, the post-meal period often represents the day's most intimate family time. The combination of satisfied hunger, gentle wine, and flickering lamplight creates an atmosphere conducive to storytelling, quiet conversation, and emotional connection. The paterfamilias might share news from the forum or discuss plans for upcoming festivals, while other family members contribute observations about their daily experiences. The evening's storytelling tradition reveals how Romans preserved and transmitted cultural knowledge across generations. Tonight's tales might include stories about family ancestors, legends about Rome's founding, or moral fables that teach proper behavior and values. These narratives serve multiple purposes. They entertain while educating, strengthen family identity through shared heritage, and provide gentle mental stimulation that aids digestion while preparing minds for restful sleep. Roman understanding of digestion influences their post-meal activities in ways that demonstrate sophisticated knowledge of physiology expressed in pre-scientific terms. They believe that lying completely flat immediately after eating interferes with proper food processing, so family members remain in reclining positions that keep their torsos slightly elevated. They also understand that gentle movement aids digestion, leading to evening walks in household courtyards or gardens when weather permits. The evening's music represents another aspect of Roman domestic life often overlooked in historical accounts. Family members with musical skills might play simple instruments, wooden flutes, small lyres, or percussion instruments made from clay or bronze. The music serves not as formal entertainment, but as gentle background that enhances relaxation while providing subtle mental stimulation. These informal musical sessions also offer opportunities for younger family members to develop artistic skills valued in Roman society. The transition from dining area to sleeping preparations follows gradual patterns that respect both social hierarchies and individual needs. The paterfamilias typically retires first, his departure signalling that other family members may begin their own preparations for sleep. However, this doesn't mean the evening ends abruptly. Other family members may continue quiet conversations or activities while respecting the household head's need for rest. Roman sleeping arrangements differ significantly from modern assumptions about private bedrooms and individual beds. Most family members share sleeping spaces, with arrangements determined by age, gender, and social status. Children often sleep together in groups, sharing warmth and security while learning social skills through constant proximity. Parents might share their sleeping area with youngest children, providing comfort and protection during vulnerable nighttime hours. The preparation of sleeping areas involves rituals that blend practical necessity with spiritual protection. Family members check that oil lamps contain sufficient fuel to provide gentle light throughout the night. Complete darkness was considered both dangerous and spiritually threatening. They also ensure that small offerings remain available for the lares and penates, the household gods who provide protection during sleep's vulnerable hours. Most people imagine Romans sleeping on elaborate beds with soft mattresses, but actually most families use relatively simple sleeping arrangements. Mattresses consist of cloth sacks filled with straw, wool, or feathers, depending on the family's economic status. These rest on wooden frames or stone platforms, with additional comfort provided by woolen blankets and pillows stuffed with feathers or soft plant materials. The evening's personal hygiene rituals reveal Roman attitudes toward cleanliness and health that often surpass modern standards. Family members wash their hands, feet, and faces with warm water scented with herbs believed to promote restful sleep and prevent illness. They clean their teeth with cloths or small sticks, understanding that oral hygiene affects both health and social acceptability. Roman approaches to managing household fires during nighttime hours demonstrate sophisticated understanding of safety and economy. Rather than extinguishing all flames, experienced housekeepers bank cooking fires with ash and arrange fuel to maintain low-level combustion throughout the night. This technique preserves valuable coals for tomorrow's cooking, while providing gentle warmth that prevents winter chills from disrupting sleep. The evening prayers and offerings that conclude each day connect Roman families to spiritual traditions that provide both comfort and cultural continuity. These observances aren't elaborate ceremonies, but simple acknowledgements of divine favor and requests for continued protection. Family members might whisper brief prayers to their personal deities, make small offerings of food or wine, or simply observe moments of grateful silence. Roman understanding of sleep and dreams influences their nighttime preparations in ways that blend practical wisdom with spiritual beliefs. They position beds to avoid drafts that might cause illness, arrange clothing and personal items for easy access during darkness, and create sleeping environments that promote the peaceful dreams they believe essential for mental and physical health. The household's nocturnal security arrangements reveal how Romans balance openness with protection. Doors remain unbarred to allow emergency exits, but slaves or family members take turns maintaining vigilance against fire, theft, or other nighttime dangers. This system provides security while avoiding the claustrophobic feeling of complete enclosure that Romans believe interferes with restful sleep. Children's bedtime rituals include elements designed to ease fears and promote security during darkness. Parents or older siblings might tell gentle stories, sing soft songs, or share family memories that reinforce belonging and safety. These practices help young family members develop positive associations with sleep, while learning cultural traditions they will eventually pass to their own children. The evening's final food and drink consumption follows careful patterns designed to promote rest without causing discomfort. Small amounts of diluted wine mixed with honey can aid sleep, while light snacks of bread or dried fruit prevent hunger pangs that might disrupt rest. However, Romans avoid heavy eating or drinking close to bedtime, understanding that overfull stomachs interfere with comfortable sleep positions and peaceful dreams. Roman attitudes toward nighttime sounds and activities reflect understanding of how environmental factors affect sleep quality. Household members move quietly during evening hours, speak in lowered voices, and avoid activities that create unnecessary noise. They also listen carefully to nighttime sounds from outside, changes in animal behavior, unusual human activity, or weather patterns that might affect household safety or comfort. The gradual dimming of oil lamps throughout the house creates a visual transition that helps family members' bodies prepare for sleep. Rather than suddenly extinguishing all light, Romans reduce illumination gradually, allowing eyes to adjust while maintaining enough visibility for necessary movement. This technique respects natural rhythms while providing practical safety during darkness. Roman concepts of time during evening hours operate differently from modern clock-based schedules. Evening activities follow natural rhythms of tiredness, seasonal daylight patterns, and individual family needs rather than precise time measurements. This flexibility allows families to respond appropriately to varying circumstances, while maintaining general routines that provide structure and security. The evening's reflection and planning activities help Romans process daily experiences while preparing mentally for tomorrow's challenges. Family members might review the day's accomplishments, discuss lessons learned, or make informal plans for upcoming activities. These conversations serve therapeutic purposes while strengthening family communication and shared decision-making. Roman approaches to managing clothing and personal items during evening hours reveal practical wisdom about organization and cleanliness. Family members fold and arrange garments to prevent wrinkles and facilitate easy dressing in morning darkness. They also clean and organize personal tools, ensuring everything remains ready for tomorrow's activities while preventing loss or damage during nighttime hours. The household's evening economy includes careful management of resources like oil for lamps, fuel for fires, and food for tomorrow's meals. Experienced housekeepers calculate consumption rates to ensure adequate supplies last through the night and into the following day, while avoiding waste that would strain family budgets or require inconvenient nighttime trips to storage areas. As the evening reaches its natural conclusion, the Roman household settles into the quiet rhythms that will carry its members through the night toward tomorrow's renewal. The simple meal they shared has accomplished far more than mere nourishment. It has strengthened family bonds, preserved cultural traditions, and created the foundation for restful sleep that will restore their energy for another day of Roman life. The oil lamps burn lower now, their gentle flames casting softer shadows on walls that have witnessed countless similar evenings. Outside, the great city of Rome gradually settles into its own nighttime rhythms, while inside this modest home, one family prepares to join the peaceful rest that concludes each day of ancient life. The household's gentle transition into night completes a cycle that has repeated for countless generations across the Roman world. As you witness these final moments of the evening, the profound simplicity of what has unfolded becomes clear. This family has participated in rituals far more ancient and enduring than the marble monuments and military conquests that typically define Roman civilization in popular imagination. They have gathered simple ingredients, transformed them through patient application of fire and time, and shared the results in ways that strengthen both body and spirit. The last oil lamp in the triclinium flickers lower, its bronze reservoir nearly empty after hours of gentle illumination. The paterfamilias performs one final check of the household, ensuring fires are properly banked, doors are secured, and family members are settling comfortably into their sleeping areas. His movements are quiet but purposeful, embodying the protective responsibility that defines his role within this small community of related souls. The kitchen retains the warmth accumulated during hours of cooking, its clay walls still radiating gentle heat that will gradually dissipate through the night. Tomorrow this space will again witness the daily miracle of transformation, simple ingredients becoming nourishment through the application of human knowledge, patience and care. The cooking vessels sit clean and ready, their clay surfaces seasoned by tonight's use and countless previous meals. The cycle of Roman domestic life you have observed reveals truths that transcend the specific historical moment. The fundamental human needs for nourishment, security and connection remain constant across centuries and cultures. What changes are the particular forms these needs take, the specific ingredients available, the technologies for preparation, the customs that govern sharing and consumption. Tonight's simple meal of bread, olives and herbs represents something far more significant than basic sustenance. Each element carries the accumulated wisdom of generations who learned through experience which grains grow best in Mediterranean soil, which preservation techniques keep olives edible through winter months, which herbs provide both flavour and healing properties. This knowledge, passed through families like precious inheritance, enabled human communities to thrive in challenging environments. The social patterns you witness during meal preparation and consumption reveal how Romans understood the connections between individual well-being and community health. The careful distribution of responsibilities, the respectful interactions between family members of different ages and statuses, the emphasis on moderation and gratitude. These practices created households capable of providing both material security and emotional nourishment. Roman approaches to time during evening hours offer insights particularly relevant to modern life. Their willingness to let activities unfold according to natural rhythms rather than artificial schedules created space for genuine rest and reflection. The gradual transition from active cooking to leisurely eating to quiet contemplation allowed family members to process daily experiences while preparing mentally and physically for restorative sleep. The integration of spiritual observances into everyday activities demonstrates how Romans found meaning in ordinary experiences. Their offerings to household gods, their prayers of gratitude, their respectful treatment of food and fire, these practices transformed routine tasks into opportunities for acknowledging the forces beyond human control that make life possible. This spiritual awareness provided comfort during difficulties, while encouraging gratitude during times of abundance. The technologies you observed in the Roman kitchen the sophisticated understanding of fire management, the specialized clay vessels, the preservation techniques represent solutions developed through centuries of experimentation and refinement. These innovations enabled families to create nourishing meals from basic ingredients while minimizing waste and maximizing flavor. Modern cooks who embrace slow food movements and artisanal techniques are rediscovering principles that Romans took for granted. The evening's storytelling and conversation reveal how Romans maintained cultural continuity across generations. The tales shared around flickering oil lamps carried forward values, historical memories, and practical knowledge that defined Roman identity. These informal educational moments, woven into the fabric of daily life, proved more effective than formal instruction in transmitting cultural wisdom. Roman attitudes toward hospitality and sharing reflect understanding that individual prosperity depends on community well-being. The family's careful attention to ensuring everyone received adequate nourishment, their willingness to share resources with neighbors, their emphasis on moderation rather than excess. These practices created social networks capable of supporting members through difficult periods. The children's participation in evening activities provided education that extended far beyond practical skills. They learned social hierarchies through seating arrangements, developed patience through slow cooking processes, and absorbed cultural values through family conversations. This informal apprenticeship prepared them for adult responsibilities while strengthening family bonds. The gradual dimming of lights throughout the household created conditions that honored natural sleep rhythms often disrupted in modern environments. The gentle transition from bright illumination to soft lamplight to near darkness allowed family members' bodies to prepare gradually for rest. This respect for biological needs contributed to sleep quality that supported both physical health and emotional well-being. Roman concepts of wealth and prosperity emphasized sufficiency rather than excess. Tonight's family found genuine satisfaction in simple foods prepared with care and shared in loving company. Their contentment came not from possessing luxury items, but from appreciating basic blessings, adequate food, secure shelter, family harmony, and peaceful rest. The evening's quiet conclusion demonstrates how Romans understood rest as essential for human flourishing, rather than merely absence of activity. Their careful preparations for sleep, their creation of secure and comfortable environments, their attention to both physical and spiritual needs. These practices recognize sleep as vital restoration rather than lost time. As the final oil lamp gutters and dies, the Roman household settles into darkness, punctuated only by the gentle glow of banked cooking fires. Outside, the great city sleeps, its millions of inhabitants resting in countless homes where similar scenes have played out throughout the evening. The simple meal that brought this family together has accomplished its deeper purposes, strengthening bonds that hold communities together, transmitting wisdom that ensures survival, and providing the nourishment that enables human civilization to continue. The bread they shared connected them to farmers who grew grain under Mediterranean sun, millers who ground it into flour, and bakers who transformed it into sustenance. The olives linked them to ancient groves planted by previous generations, preserved through techniques perfected over centuries. The herbs tied them to the earth itself, to the seasonal cycles that govern all life, to the accumulated knowledge of healers and cooks stretching back to the dawn of agriculture. Their evening together demonstrates that the most profound aspects of human experience often manifest in the simplest activities. The preparation and sharing of food creates opportunities for love, learning, and connection that elaborate entertainments cannot match. The quiet conversations around dimming oil lamps provide intimacy that grand public spectacles cannot achieve. The gentle transition into restful sleep offers renewal that ambitious pursuits cannot supply. Tomorrow will bring new challenges and opportunities, but tonight's foundation of shared nourishment and family bonding will provide strength for whatever comes. The children will carry forward lessons learned at their parents' table, while adults will face their responsibilities renewed by an evening of simple pleasures and peaceful rest. In the gathering darkness of ancient Rome, one family has completed another day of the eternal human journey towards security, meaning, and connection. Their simple meal has nourished far more than their bodies. It has fed their souls and strengthened the invisible bonds that make civilization possible. As they drift towards sleep in their modest home, they join the countless generations who have found in shared food and loving company the essence of what makes life worth living. The embers in the kitchen hearth glow softly through the night, maintaining the warmth that will kindle tomorrow's cooking fires. The cycle will begin again with sunrise, as it has for thousands of years, as it will for thousands more. In this continuity lies both comfort and hope, the assurance that human needs can be met through simple means, and that love shared around humble tables remains among our most enduring sources of strength. Thank you for joining us on this gentle journey through an ancient Roman evening. If you enjoyed our work and are still awake, check out our other content exploring the quiet corners of history where ordinary people lived extraordinary lives. And if you have fallen asleep, rest well and enjoy the campfire.